most people you grow up in your hometown, and my only goal was to grow up faster. I just wanted to be out as quickly as possible. And so to that end, I tried to grow up as quickly as I could. I tried to grow up faster. I tried to use words that older people used. I tried to listen to music that older generations listened to. I dressed like I was a little older, not like today. My great fear today is to be the aging hipster, the person who's just trying too hard to be young. Yeah. So that's where every time we walk out the door, I'm like, so this vest, and they're like, but it's okay because I'm a quarter gay on my mom's side, so it worked for me today. So I tried as desperately as I could to grow up as fast as I could, and I grew up thinking, and I really did have this belief that somehow I was going to graduate into adulthood. And when you become an adult, like we said, that adults are mature people, and that in high school everybody had melodramas, relationships, and they were relationship conquest and popularity conquest, and they were trying to live out John Hughes storylines, and it was that whole thing was, and all I wanted was out of school as quickly as possible, and I couldn't wait to graduate into adulthood and be that person. And then I had this fantasy that and I really did believe this, that when you become an adult, that somehow all the name calling ceases and all the immaturity ceases and all that stuff happens, and you just all of a sudden respect and kindness and maturity run freely. And it's going to be great, because that's what we bought on television as kids, right? We all had the Leave It to Beaver and Andy Griffith and Silver Spoons and Family Ties and Different Strokes and all that stuff. And all the adults in those shows were super cool people. And they were even-keeled, and they could give advice on a spin, and they knew how to guide you through the rough waters of adolescence and all that stuff. And if they did screw up, they sat at the foot of your bed and they tussled your hair and they apologized like adults would. And so that's what I thought it was going to be like. And then I was desperately disappointed as I got closer to my graduation into adulthood to find that was not the case at all, that adults were just big kids, and they were insecure, and they were immature, and they had bigger bills, and they went to jobs instead of English Lit and PE, but essentially they were just kids in adult bodies. So they were jealous and conniving, and they gossiped, and they did all that stuff. And so that was disheartening. And then when I got to that place and I didn't magically change into an adult, I was really upset. Because I figured there's probably a chrysalis or cocoon thing you crawl into and you come out a fully evolved man-human. And it didn't happen. And so then it got worse because I got a job. And then I got a job and I realized there was whole cubicles full of whispering and gossiping and conniving and all the stuff that happened in high school, but worse. And people were drawing up alliances and acting as if they were the only people put upon to work and save the company. And I thought, this is discouraging. And so then it didn't seem to matter, because I ended up working for a couple people. It didn't seem to matter who you worked for. You could be working for a mega company that was going to take over the world, or you could work for a nonprofit that was going to save the world, or you could work for a church that was going to try and do both. And whatever it was, everybody still responded the same way. And then, God help you if you happen to be hopeful or joyful or have some light in you, because they hated you. They hated that. And I get it. There's nothing more annoying when you hate your job than youth and enthusiasm. You want to smash it under your JCPenney comfort loving shoes, just get all 4 inches of the heel and just smash it, It's disgusting when you are mad and disappointed and disgruntled to have somebody else happy around you. You want to slap the shit out of them. And so I watched all that kind of play out, and maybe you were kind of in one of those places. Maybe you started out as a happy-go-lucky world changer and had all that in you, and you showed up and you were joyful and you were going to change the world, and you had that glee in you and that ambition in you, and you had that light in you, and you sang in your car loudly because no one had killed your joy yet, and you slept easy at night and it was perfect, and then somebody, one of those grumps at the office, stole your song, and they do it by saying something or inferring something or resenting you in a way that you can perceive. And the goal is to try and dial down your light down to their level, because your light, your brightness is exposing their dullness, right? And whatever they had is gone, and whatever's there is just misery. And so you bouncing and being joyful just exposes the fact that this is where we are, and that's a painful place to be, right? And so it's interesting to think about that. Who is the first person? Because it happens for us on occasions now. Who's the first person to make you feel less than? Who's the first person to make you self-conscious? Who's the first person to act like you didn't have, you weren't worthy to have an opinion or to be joyful or to be hopeful, you know? It's interesting. It's an interesting place. So I want to try something with you. If you're okay with it, you'll have to trust me. We're going to close our eyes. And I have to make you close your eyes because I have to load the glitter cannon, and if you see me do it, it ruins the surprise. So do this with me for just a second. Trust me. Just close your eyes for just a minute. I promise that everybody will be okay. So I want you to go to one of those moments, maybe the first one, maybe the most recent one, that moment where someone made you feel less than, that moment where someone was condescending, that moment where someone tried to bring you down a couple pegs to their level, that moment where someone tried to dim your light. Are you there? Can you see that for a minute? Because most of us have it. It's a human experience. It happens throughout humanity. Lowering somebody else to another level, lowering someone else to their level. So now that you are in that spot, I want you to release it. I want you to let go of it so that all of us can move forward. That stuff becomes like an anchor, right? And it holds you in that place until you let it go, until you release it. So we release things so that we can move forward. So that moment, that trigger spot, that thought, that place in your life, we're going to release that now. Whether it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 80 years ago or on the way over here, we're going to release it. And you can call that whatever you want. You can call that forgiveness. You can call it releasing. You can call it let it go. But we're going to let it go. And now I want you to see that light that is you, that part that got called out, that part that got diminished. And I want you to pick it back up. And I'm not talking about the qualifier or the capability of that. That may have been at that moment athletics, or that may have been at that moment, you know, education or smarts or painting or whatever. I'm not talking about that specific expression. What I'm talking about is the quality that was you. So that hope that was you, that vigor that was you, that optimism that was you, that joy, that light that was you, I want you to pick that back up. And if it helps, you can put a hand on your chest and hold it into place. You can take a deep breath, like you're inhaling it back into you. Maybe that deep breath is sealing it in you again. That's who you are. That light belongs to you. No one should diminish that. No one should take that away. No one should call that out. No one should take that away. That's part of your personality, part of your God-given personality. So we're going to inhale that, and we're going to set that back in place. And we're going to take just a second now to experience in the joy of having that part of us back again, having that experience back again. having that part of us that was made for us to be in us again. And we're going to rest in that. And those deep breaths can help cover that in and seal that in for us. Okay, you can open your eyes. You guys are doing so well. This is such an important thing because there's so many people that I love that I see get put under. There's so many people that I love, and I've known them in different places in their lives, known them to have that vibrance, known them to have that brightness. That's not something you age out of. That's not something you lose just because you get older. That's bullshit. You are who you are. That light gets brighter as you go. That's something you endure with. So you have to look at that and think to yourself, in that moment, who was that tried to diminish that, tried to take that away from you? Maybe it was yourself. Maybe you self-sabotaged because in that moment the fear of failure was too much. So you told yourself that you weren't smart enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not good enough, you're not talented enough. Maybe in so many words you said to yourself, who do you think you are? And so you skipped out on a relationship, you skipped out on an adventure, you skipped out on a job, you skipped out on an opportunity because you told yourself in that process you weren't enough in that. And so you missed that. Maybe it was just life itself because you flew out of the gates and you had all kinds of ambition and you had all kinds of passion and you had all kinds of want, and then life got very, very hard and life is very tiresome, and somewhere in there it got too difficult to prop up the person you were, and so you let that person lay down and fade out, and now here we are. Or maybe it was somebody in your life. Might have been a coach, might have been a parent, might have been a teacher, might have been a sibling, might have been a jealous friend in your life that tried to pull you down to their level. And you don't have to start pointing fingers in the audience because we know you. We're all here. Somebody in that experience did that. And whether it's us or whether it's life or whether it's somebody, but that happens. And the awareness of that is important to us. We make the decision to re-embrace that light. So we have a motto, it's not original, but we have a motto that we live by. I think the Latin version of it is unlegitimi nom carbonandum. Does anybody have that translation? Yes. What is that translation? No? You don't have it? Don't let the bastards grind you down. That's our maxim. That's our maxim. That's what we live by. Don't let the bastards grind you down. So how do we do that? What does that look like if you put that in practice? Well, that means that when you don't let the bastards grind you down, you're very intentional about things. The way we do it is a multifaceted thing. We choose when someone tries to dim that light, we love them. We choose not to give in to hate with them, but we don't compromise who we are. We stay that person. We choose to not let the bastards grind us down by our tactic, which is to kill them softly with love. So you can endure that and you can love them back. We don't get into shouting matches. We don't get into arguments. I don't give people the bird that they can see. Do that behind their back and no one cares. But no, you don't give in, but you kill them softly with love, repeated love, and stay with it. And that keeps you healthy. It's like the thing about letting something go. If you let that thing build on you, it will be an anchor. It will hold you down. It will keep you in that place again and again and again. Somebody will have that power over you if you let them. But when you kill them softly with your love, you're intentional and you let them go because it doesn't matter what they think. It doesn't matter what they do. The other thing you can do is to renew yourself. Remind yourself of who you are and engage in the activities that engage that light. Whatever you have. You may be funny. Find ways to be funny. Tell stories at parties and do it. You may be hospitable. Have people over to the house. You may be a great mathematician. Do what those people do. I don't know what those You know, you may be an artist, you may be a poet, you may be a writer, you may just be a great listener and a great friend. Do those things, and it will renew the light in you, and that's important. And then you can do things like this, like tonight. Some of you have had an experience tonight. Some of you have had heart surgery tonight, and that's a good thing. Sometimes those heart surgeries take days to sink in and do their work and stuff. So one of the ways you can help that is by getting with someone. And after, you can go after this and get a coffee or a beer or a drink or a bite to eat with somebody and say, God, man, this was my experience. When I was 8, I had a coach that demoralized me. I had a parent that constantly did this. And you can set that heart work deeper by recounting it to other people. That's important work. So now here's the other part. Stay with me for one more minute. Here's the other challenge. So we are all, I think, in a better place than when we got here. And there's a peace here. And there is a joy from having something that was kind of taken from us given back, or that we at least remember more, right? So then, as the song says, I'm only human, born to make mistakes. Anybody know that song? I'm only human, born to make mistakes. Anybody know that song? Anybody? All right, for 1,000 extra points tonight, who can name that band? Anybody?
Human League.
Oh my gosh, Don, you're the man. Go home tonight, YouTube it. I'm only human. Human League. They're going to try and give you a Jonas Brothers as a dink. Don't do it. Don't watch the Jonas Brothers. Human League. I'm only human. You'll remember it. So I'm only human. So I'm only human. If I'm only human, as the song says, flesh and blood I'm made. Is there a chance that I may have done this to somebody else? Is there a chance that I may have been at some moment threatened and tried to bring someone down to help myself? Is there a chance that when I gave somebody sobriety but not encouragement, is there a chance that I didn't give the encouragement that was mine to give someone when they needed it? Richard and I are good friends. We have a fun relationship, and a lot of that relationship is based on banter. So we rib each other. If I'm not careful, I can take that over the line. If I'm not careful, I can say things that will seed doubt in Richard's mind about who he is, or about how people feel about him, or how he perceives himself. So if that's all fun and games at first, but if I'm not careful, it will sit there, and he'll think, well, maybe I'm not as cool as I think I am.
I mean, other people could, but not you.
Right, I couldn't because I'm not, he doesn't care enough about me. But, so you have to ask yourself, is there a chance that I have done the same thing that's been done to me? Have I done that to somebody else? Is there a chance that I withheld encouragement when someone needed it? Is there a chance that I gave sobriety without encouragement? Is there a chance that I brought somebody down a couple pegs because in my mind they needed it? They're too good looking, they're too successful, they're too happy. They just need to come down a couple notches, and it's my job to do it. If you have done such a thing, which most of us have, then this is a fantastic opportunity to make that right. It's a fantastic opportunity to go and make that right in some way. Because everyone deserves to be their better self. Everyone deserves to have that light restored. Everyone deserves to feel good about who they are and who they were made to be, and not to be made to feel less than or self-conscious, right? So that's our opportunity to do good, our opportunity to be. This is so important because we talk about creativity a lot here. Creativity has a tough time thriving in fear, has a tough time thriving in shame. But when you elevate the soul, everything else seems to come with it. And that's what we're talking about, right? You guys have been wonderful. The glitter cannon misfired, and I'm sorry about that. That did not happen. But you guys have been amazing, and you've been trusting and patient, and I really appreciate that. I know this was a little weird, and it's not like anything else we've done in the last year and a half of doing these, so I really appreciate your courage to go there and So if something good happened for you and you tell somebody and help that stay in you and guard it, because this stuff, who you are, the light in you, is gold, and we should protect it like it's the gold that it is, right? Yeah. So also as a reminder, we will be doing this in Tulsa on the 23rd at the Renaissance Brewery. It's worth buying a ticket for just so you can learn how to spell Renaissance, because it ain't easy. I'm just going to tell you. And it is a great brewery. It's right across the street from Mother Road Market, like Anjanette said. It's going to be a lot of fun. It will be completely different than what we did tonight. You guys were brilliant tonight. Everybody good? Thank you guys. Appreciate it.